going on, guys? McDowell here. Week 3 of the league has begun, and I wanted to do a quick video and update you on how the Righteous Fire character is going. Got some gear upgrades, hit level 100, so we'll talk about all that, and I'll let you know what my plans are going forward for the rest of the league. So if that interests you, stick around. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just start with a map showcase here. Do a quick beach map, show you how show you how the build runs. As I said, we're level 100 now. So we're gonna have some syndicate action going on in the map. Breach. Consultant. I mean, at this point in the character's progression, you really do just basically AFK. Well, your brain AFK. You gotta push a couple buttons, and you have some defensive skills that you can trigger if you feel like you need to. But for the most part, you just run through the map. And if you die, it's just not a big deal. Obviously, at level 100, you would probably play a little bit differently while leveling. But I would recommend, once you get to about 98, I would do 5-way carries.
Now I'm no. There it is, eh?
My 2 movement skill addiction continues. I'm actually afraid that I might just not enjoy almost any other build in terms of its movement skill capability, because just having the build function and be complete, and then essentially still have room to, be able to have a shield charge and a frost blink is the quality of life just can't be overstated. Now, I'm a leap slam fan. I think that's my favorite movement skill, but shield charge is a real close second. I just find that, for whatever reason, leap slam seems about 5% more forgiving on getting stuck on the terrain. So here's the boss. So you just kind of spam your traps. I mean, it just goes down. I don't know really how good that DPS is in terms of, as compared to other Righteous Fire archetypes, or even different levels of gear with the same Inquisitor base archetype. But for me, given how tanky the character is, being able to also delete tier 16 bosses with basically whatever mod, it doesn't matter what the mods are, in less than 5 seconds is, I don't know, for me that's like the final form. You know what I mean? I don't find myself sitting here going like, oh, if only I could do more DPS, as a, to sort of drive that home. Here's the conk effect. Like, I almost never switch it in. I don't even think I qualified it. Yeah, I just have been throwing like random GCPs on it. I haven't worried about getting level 21. Even the, final bosses, the pinnacle ones, just kind of, it's a slightly slow but inexorable battle of attrition where I'm gonna win, given 6 portals for sure on pretty much any encounter I've done. So, I mean, that's how the build looks in a map. There's our stats. There's our life regen. See it pop up to over 4K when we use Enduring Cry. And then let's talk about a few pieces of the gear here. This is the same weapon that I've had since day 2 of the league, 2 or 3. I I just can't find anything that is better that isn't outrageously expensive. Helmet may have been in the last video. I think I'm considering really strongly just paying somebody to enchant this with the righteous fire damage. But there is one additional upgrade you can get that has an additional line that's socketed gems are supported by level blank concentrated effect. And that's sort of the Giga end game variant where you're effectively it's a 6-link righteous fire at that point, and you can also slot in awakened burning damage instead of the swift affliction, I believe. And I assume that's probably another 50% damage. That would be my guess. Is that I'm at about 4 million DPS now, and I'm not very good at POB, so I think that might even be non-boss damage. It might even be like 3.5 or 3.2 or something on a boss. So figure if you put on that helmet, you're probably going to go up to 5, at least would be my guess. And then a much better weapon might get you to 6 to 6.5. And then switching out the amulet for a really powerful +2 with fire damage and some other goodies on there. Maybe that's how you get up to about 7 or 7.5, and then an offensive shield might get you to 8, 8.5, and I think that's about where you stop. I've heard people say you can get it up to 10 million. I don't know if that's reasonably attainable, especially given what we're going to talk about next, after I talk about another piece of gear or two. These are my favorite piece of gear on the build because I got them for 1x, and as far as I can tell, aside from a little bit of percentage on the explosion chance, which I don't notice any difference. 30% is a lot when you're talking about you're killing packs of monsters. These are essentially perfect for me, and they've got this 6% increased max life implicit. They've got the life regeneration enchant, very tasty, very noticeable upgrade from the original pair I was wearing that had neither of those things. And I believe I also only had 32% increased effective Scorch rolled on the pair I was using before. Again, maybe another one of the ways that you can push the damage a little higher would be to try and double corrupt this, but I don't know exactly what the mods are that you would want that would be, the ones that would be ideal. I'm noticing I have a health flask. That is because I tried to do a simulacrum yesterday, and we got to wave 27, and then I just couldn't stay alive because, gamer moment here. I couldn't stay alive because the map that I got had these little tiny pathways, and I kept trying to shield charge through them and getting stuck on the walls. Got a little mad. Because I was able to stay alive. I think I could have just completed the whole thing if I played better, I guess, ultimately. Although it would be my preference if they made it a little bit less punishing, trying to get through smaller areas with movement skills. Okay. So then the next thing to talk about is the price of items. It's gotten real crazy with some of the stuff. If I pop over here real fast, and I'll just do it live. Let's see what the current price is of a ball righteous fire. Okay. So we got one at 15, and then it's right up to 20. Exalt for a 2120 all righteous fire. And I don't know why you would buy it. I'm not convinced that Vol Righteous Fire, just as a mechanic, is one that I really care about using. I tried it a little bit when I was leveling, and maybe I'm just totally wrong, and now that I have this crazy regen, it just wouldn't be an issue at all, and it would just be a straight damage increase. But as we talked about earlier, I'm just not really finding myself in situations where I feel like, oh, I really need a burn cooldown to speed up this encounter. And I don't do boss farming, so it's kind of one of those deals where, am I going to spend 15 exalt to make my 5-second boss encounters in maps last 3 seconds or 2 seconds, and then maybe make pinnacle boss encounters slightly faster? I don't know. That seems really steep. I'm going to think about it. Maybe I'll do it at 15x, but I think that's my absolute limit. And I would consider it frivolous, luxury, bougie type of, that type of purchase. I don't think it's mandatory. I don't think you need it. I think you could just use a regular level 20 righteous fire even, and pretty much just be fine for the entire game. What else is there to say at this point? I guess it is worth mentioning, if people want me to make a guide video, I will. I just don't think I'm going to make one by default as a matter of course, just because there are so many content creators, particularly POCs, who have made innumerable guides and so on and so forth that are, they're just more knowledgeable than I am, period. But maybe the one thing that I could offer is the perspective of somebody who has not played the build before, that it's fresh. My first time, it's very fresh, and I had some success. And so maybe there are some perspectives and choices that I made that might be slightly different that could be interesting, but I don't know if it's worth the time to actually go through and do the entire 25-minute video of going through the skill tree and every piece of gear and whatever. One last thing I will note is I switched to a curse ring. A buddy helped me. I think he just dropped this on the ground as is. I don't know if he crafted it or whatever, but it's got the flammability curse, but then also the 15% damage taken recouped as life. That is so huge. Recoup is, I don't want to say it's the best defensive mechanic in the game, but I'll just say it's my favorite. It's particularly this node on the tree here. Yeah, this 18 one, Infused Flesh. I used that on my Fireball character last league, and it was the only notable defensive passive that I could just allocate it, and it was immediately noticeable. The character was tankier. I could tell that I was dying less, etc. It was you click it, you feel it. It was good. So to have, what is that, 75%, 80% of that power just as one line on the ring, for me is really crazy. And so I don't know what the cost of something like that is. Probably really expensive. But the reason I bring it up is using the curse on hit and throwing 1 point into Resolute Technique makes it so that my shield charge curses everything, which is fantastic. Up until I switched to this, you had to use Frost Blink, and for me, that was the one part of the build that did feel clunky, because Frost Blink doesn't, I don't know, you have to move too far. And so I felt like I would run up on a boss, right? Put on my Righteous Fire here. So right, I would run up on a boss and start trying to do some damage, and then if the curse wasn't on him, you try and and then like I'm in an inconvenient spot. Whereas just being able to, if the boss is over here, just charge in, it's cursed, you just start dropping your stuff, pop your cooldowns, whatever. That feels way better. And also, it has the side benefit of making it so you don't need to use Hex Touch with your Frost Blink, and that opens up 2 gem sockets that I just really didn't find anything that I felt like I needed to slot in there. And so I threw in a Portal Gem, super quality of life, and Frost Shield, which is great because you're getting, as far as I can understand it, you're getting the maximum possible stages out of this skill every time you push it. And as you can see, like, it just barely affects RES. I can be taking a bunch of damage in the middle of a pack and pop this thing, and it still just doesn't really do a whole lot to me, but it is a noticeable damage mitigator, and it also chills enemies inside of it, so you can do this business where you shield charge in on a boss or whatever, throw down some of this, and then you have some space where you can sort of like maneuver around the boss, and you're still inside your protective shield. Then you kind of step on top of the boss, drop it again, keep moving around, putting your stuff down. Feels pretty good. So yeah, I guess that's all I'll say for now, because nothing else major has changed. Going forward, I think the goal is probably upgrade the helmet one more time and see what that feels like. I think that's going to be the most meaningful upgrade going forward. I'm going to stick with my Ed Series foible for the amulet. A lot of people aren't as big of fans of this. I know Captain Lance, particularly in his recent videos, has basically written it off in favor of the +2. And I don't know. I like it. It feels good. I have a +1 amulet that does give me a significant damage increase, but for me, it's just not worth it. Maybe if you could get some life regen. Not life regen. Yeah, life regeneration rate. If you could get that on the gloves, that would be tasty, and then maybe this wouldn't feel so bad to swap out. But other than that, yeah, going forward, I might upgrade that helm. We'll see how the character performs from there. I am going to be doing some Lost Ark. I want to level up the character in that game. I might stream that for a little bit as well. Not today, but just generally speaking. Yeah, and then I have some other ideas for some other POE type content that is less high build focused and more, let's say maybe essay or opinion piece style type stuff. So I might pursue that. But yeah, give Righteous Fire a try. It's a fun build. I don't think you'll regret it. I certainly have. The league start very smooth. Mapping is fun, easy. Everything about the build is basically ideal for my playstyle. So if you like what you saw on the map, if the gear I'm showing you is interesting to you, if the mechanics that are being discussed are of interest, then I think you should try the build. And with that, I'll say, yeah, please hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you.